Hello, everybody. Welcome to Why Read, the discussion series that always begins with the same question, the Why Read Books question. And so we are on episode 39, and I'm so happy to have here with me Andy Smith and Rid from Riddbooks. So fantastic guests, because these two channels, by the way, for me personally on my booktube journey, I consider them almost like OG booktubers because both of them were people I was subscribed to right before I started my channel. I was watching every single one of their videos. And so we all intersected at a similar time. I mean, like I said, they started before me. We intersected. I looked up to their channel. I still look up to their channels. I have to say that some of their videos, which I'll go ahead and mention today, are some of my favorite, still to this day, some of my favorite videos that on booktube. Like the Malazan videos that both of them have put out are just phenomenal. And so we're going to be talking about several things, but they both took a break for a while and are back now. So as soon as I saw both of them come back and around the similar time, I thought this couldn't be more perfect to have a Why Read episode with the two of them. So I welcome Andy and Rid to the Why Read series, and we're just going to go ahead and get right into the Why Read question. There is no right answer for this. This is just an open question about why right now you're choosing to pick up books rather than other hobbies or other things that are competing for your attention. So Andy, why don't you go ahead and answer for us?
Yeah. Well, it's so hard to follow that super kind introduction. Thank you so much. Reaper's Gale. We're already getting to Malazan. Love it. Thank you so much, Joanna. It is actually funny. I in preparation for this, I was like watching some of your old Why Reads, and in one of them you mentioned a review I did on Way of Kings. And so I went back and I looked, and there's a comment that I like, one of the top comments is from you. And it's like, hey, I'm new to BookTube, but like, thank you for this review. And I was like, that's so great. Cause it reminds me of like that time. And like, I think it was 2020, 2021, when all of us were like looking for community. And also it's when, at least for me, like there was this big, I don't know, second wave of booktubers who were like just getting on talking about books. And I was part of that and loved it so much. And I'm such a fan of your channel and your thoughtfulness, and you're one of the booktubers who like affect my TBR and actually what I read the most. Like when you really recommend something, I take it very seriously. So really happy to be here. Why read? For me, reading is like a very important part of who I am, and this is sort of a broad answer to the question, but I really think like reading makes you a better person. Not that people who don't read are not good. There's a lot of different ways to interact with art generally, but I think art generally is something that makes someone better. It challenges you. You can learn things, even if you're just doing it for pleasure. Joy just like makes life obviously incredible. And so for me, reading is one of my I have two primary ways that I like interact with art. And it's generally reading and then watching film. And both of those are just like so important to me in my life and who I am. And specifically, I talk about this on a video. I grew up in a very sort of evangelical religious community that was very insular, and it was hard to sort of penetrate outside of that community when I was young. And one of the ways I was able to do that was through those two mediums, film and books. And so for me, very closely, reading helped me find out what I really thought of the world and experience people and things that I wouldn't have been able to experience in my lived experience. I think that's true for everything, every reader. So yeah, I love reading, and I love that question.
Oh, fantastic. I love your answer to that question. And I love that you brought up art as a whole, and not just reading, as reading is an art, but also you brought up film. And I know you've done some excellent videos too, exploring film. I remember Lord of the Rings video that you talked about, and then you talked about the evil force in Harry Potter. Like you did some really interesting introspective videos that were not only about books, but also about film. And I think that's really cool because I'm somebody who's been terrible about watching film or getting into film, but it might be changing. And I feel like even the exploration of reading has shifted the way I look at movies. Like I recently rewatched The Godfather, which I think is a masterpiece of a film.
Yep.
And I feel like the way that I examine the movie, I realized like my reading brain has affected the way I look at film a little bit. So I think that's an interesting thing to note, especially because I love I love all art forms too. I love going to
Yeah.
museums. I love music. I feel like all these things are so important for making us look outside our box, as you were saying. Like, especially if we are brought up in an insular community, that can be very important and vital. So love that answer, Andy.
Yeah, thank you. And I also will say, like, just what you said about like movies and your brain kind of switching. One thing I talk about people when they're starting a booktube channel and they're like, should I do it? I was like, yeah, do it. Like, one of the things I love about like what booktube has kind of trained me to do is after I finish something, like having to think about it again. It's like a lot of times as readers, or if you watch a movie or you like TV shows, or I don't know, even like you watch sports, like you'll do it, you'll experience it, and that'll be the end of it. But really, in a lot of human experience, like if you take a moment to really think about something, it becomes both much more valuable, and I think you have like a chance to like really grow in like yourself and your insights into how you choose to do things. And so I love that BookTube has done that for me the same way, whether it's movies or TV or whatever. Like I think about it after I finish it, not just experience it in the moment.
Oh, that is so well said. Because I used to be somebody, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us can relate that when we were reading before we knew BookTube was a thing, we probably just went from one book to the next book to
Mhm.
the next book without really thinking much about it. I mean, I don't know. Some people I know actively have used Goodreads for a long time or written reviews, but I was somebody who would pretty much go book to book when I was young and not think twice
Yeah.
about it. But nowadays, it does change things when you have a channel and you know you're going to have to talk about it. So really good point about that. And Max Garfield, I'm so excited to see this. Finishing Aspect Emperor.
Speaking
Fantastic.
of books that are now high on my TBR because Joanna talks about them
Oh
so
God.
much, those
Yeah.
are probably coming up here in the fall or winter for me.
I look forward to hearing your thoughts about Aspect Emperor, especially. Yes. All right. So Rid, why read?
Uh, um, First of all, I just want to say I'm a little nervous. It's been a while since I've done lives, and Joanna, you have such a lovely, large community. It's a little nerve-wracking to be on camera, but I'm very excited. Thank you for having me. Like you mentioned, we started BookTube around the same time, so I really think of you as like an old friend, even though we like haven't really kept too much touch over the years. You know, while I was taking a little break, I'm really glad that you remembered me and that you reached out to have me on the show. I really appreciate it. And yeah, why read? I have always been a reader. I started reading in like really like as for fun in second grade when we had this thing called accelerated reader, and we would basically have to like read books and then take a test and get points. And I was so motivated by that system. And I was like, I had the most points in my class because I just loved reading. And I don't know, I think it was probably something intrinsic in myself that I would have read a lot anyways. But I think that specific program and like getting a certificate to John's Incredible Pizza for like a free kids meal like really motivated me
I
to
remember those
keep
programs.
reading.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think for me, books are the most immersive medium. I feel like I read a book and I get lost in that world. Whereas, like, when I watch a TV show, um, I just get bored and like get distracted really easily. And I'm like, I just go on my phone. Whereas, like, when I'm reading a book, I just leave this earth, you know, I'm like not even there. And I love that about books. They're very transporting. And yeah, that's why I read. It's honestly just because I can't get that high anywhere else.
Mm,
Yes, I love that. I mean, there really is something special about it's like it's a magical object in and of itself, right? Like you open this object called a book, and there are words on a page, but when you start to focus on it, suddenly you're just not here anymore. You're in this world, or you're in these characters' emotions, or however you
Mhm.
experience that. That immersive, transportive experience is just unlike anything else. Yeah, beautifully said. Hello.
Also, Rid, I have to say, you're referencing John's Incredible Pizza brought me back to if people don't know, I think that's
No,
only a California
I think it is.
chain.
Yeah.
But I had a local one where I grew up, and that exact same experience. Oh man, John's Incredible Pizza! I hadn't thought about that in so long.
Andy,
You gave
I
me so
I
much
hate
joy.
to like burst the bubble. I went back to John's Incredible Pizza as an adult and it
Don't
sucks.
say it.
It's
Don't say it.
horrible.
Oh no.
It's so for anyone who doesn't know, John's Incredible Pizza is like a Chuck E. Cheese, and they have like a huge buffet. And as a child, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And they have like, somehow they fit like a roller coaster indoors. I don't know if the one near you had a roller coaster.
Mine had
Andy.
like bumper cars and some other carnival things. We didn't have a full roller coaster, but yeah.
It was like one of those like carnival things that like goes around. Yeah, and they had that
So
like indoor.
cool.
But yeah, the food there terrible. As an adult, I was like, why was I so obsessed with this place?
Oh no. I have a distinct memory of like the first time I ate spinach pizza there and loving. This is a very California boy. That as I said that, I was like, boy, that's really gonna get me some guff. If Alan were watching this, for sure. But he's not. He's busy raising a second child. But boy, John's Incredible Pizza, so good. Joanna, did you realize you were going to be talking about Southern California Chuck E. Cheese chains?
I did not even know about those chains. I had a program kind of like that when I was a kid, but it was like Pizza Hut. Like you got a personal pan pizza or something if you read so many books. Something like that. I don't remember the details anymore, but I do remember something about that. But yeah, no, I didn't know about Southern California culture and spinach pizzas and this whole entire chain you all are talking about. That's fun. I guess those programs are good for getting kids interested in reading. I mean, at least, yes, it is kind of a carrot. What is it? It's like a carrot following kind of tactic, but at the same time, once you get in the door, maybe the idea is that you'll start to get into the books, and it worked for you.
Do you guys remember any guilt associated? I remember because I just loved reading. So for me, it was like no big deal to do like 10 books over the summer or whatever it was. I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to do that. And then I had friends who were like really struggling. We're like, I want that pizza, but I can't get through, I don't know, The Giver or whatever it was. I remember as a kid feeling a little guilty that like this wasn't hard for me. And apparently it was hard for other folks. Not really. I still took all the pizza, but I do remember there was that feeling.
I think yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, Joanna. I was just gonna say I had the opposite problem where like if I did bad on a test, my parents would like take my books away and be like, you have to study and like not like be reading chapter books all the time. Like you need to learn math too.
That is funny. Yeah. I've never heard of that. You must have been a true reader as a kid. Goodness. Wow.
Yeah, I would get in trouble for reading during class too, like underneath the desk. Yeah.
I got reader penalties as well. I also was like, no, you cannot read any more of this Wheel of Time book before you finish your homework or whatever. That definitely happened.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Simon, thank you so much for the 10 spot. It says it must be true that reading makes you a better person because the BookTube community is the best, most wonderful group of people on the internet. As are you, Simon. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I would echo, because you mentioned kind of talking about that we came back the same time. I will say, like, the people, two of them on this live and many other in the chats, like, are the reason that I really wanted to get back into BookTube. I think all of us, when we start, kind of feel like, oh, maybe there's a chance, I pull a Daniel Green or a Murphy Napier and I'll be able to like do this for a job. But like after a little bit of that, it is just like, this is a great part of like my life that I really enjoy. Like the people talking about it, reads, read-alongs, like it is a really great community. So Simon, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. And I appreciate that about both of you. I wondered actually, I wanted to ask you a question about what was it like coming back after taking a long break? And I think you both can talk when you answer this question about why you took a break, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about that. I mean, I have some ideas of why, but just for our audience, talk about why you decided to take a break from making content on your channels, what brought you back, and what was it like coming back into the community after so much time. And hello, Philip Chase. I think that I remember seeing both of you on Philip's channel way back in the day too. I think for a Robin Hobb discussion or something along those lines. So kind of need to see that full circle. But yeah, if you want to answer that question, maybe Rid, do you want to answer that question first?
Yeah, sure. So taking a break was mostly, I didn't want to take a break. I just ended up doing that. And I think part of it was I graduated college and I thought that after I graduated and I had a job lined up, like, oh, now I'm going to feel like have all the time in the world to make content. And was actually the opposite, where I would get home from my like corporate job and feel so drained and like just not want to use my brain or like be on camera, mostly because I was still reading a lot. And I think that was a big part of it. But then also, I started dating my fiance, who used to be my boyfriend at the time. And like we share a lot of interests and like we read a lot of the same books. And I felt like for like at least the first 2 years of us being together, I was like, I don't need to talk about anyone like to about books with anyone else. I was like, it's so fun to just talk to Nat about books. And like I didn't feel that urge to post videos on the internet for a while. And then, now we've been together for like 4 years, we're engaged, and I'm like, okay, I've got this guy for the rest of my life. I feel like making videos now again.
This
And
one's
like,
in the bag.
yeah. And like Nat is still my favorite person to talk to about books, and like he will watch all my videos before I post them, and he'll like tell me, give me pointers, and like we have discussions about what we're reading all the time. But yeah, I just also another element to this is that I moved from California to Massachusetts and I got a different job. So that corporate job that I was working at was like super draining. Like I was working at a desk. It was not the worst job ever. I don't want to like crap on it too much, but like I got a new job where it's like a lot more hands-on and a little bit more interesting, and like doesn't leave me feeling drained at the end of the day. And so I feel like I have all this energy at the end of the day to like actually come on the internet and like write scripts for videos and interact with people again. I just like grew up a lot, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So it sounds like that there was an interest maybe in getting back into talking to other people about books, like you said. How was it coming back into the community after so much time? Like, did you notice anything dramatically change, or did it feel like the same old thing?
Um, it does feel different in a lot of ways. Like I think because it's not COVID times anymore, I feel like posting videos, people aren't like maybe watching booktube in the way that they used to. Like people still watch booktube a lot, but I think that back in the day it was more like booktube was the place to be. Like there was nothing else going on in anyone's life, so like it like posting videos had this like sort of energy around it. And like when I came back, I wasn't sure how it was going to be, but I've been like really pleasantly surprised by how much that energy is still there, and like how people are like still responding to my videos, still talking about, fantasy books. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think it's hard to say how it feels, but yeah, it's been different, but also the same.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that answer. And I think one of the things that I've been so impressed with is that both of your channels, I feel like, have come back, but come back in a strong way. Like, I feel like both of you have brought forth some really creative and interesting video topics. So, like, for example, I know Rhythm Out, you brought up the video about rereading versus reading something new. And you had a really good Malazan video about your ranking of Malazan, because I guess you finished that series while you took a break, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken.
Yeah.
And then Andy, you did a wonderful video I've been wanting to do as well, since you made it kind of a tag, which is about series, whether a series that you finished has peaked early or
Yeah.
gets better and better over time. Really interesting. And then you've also done some other tag videos and some interesting topic videos talking about first law and your experience with that. So I feel like both of you have just come back just like you never left, which I think is which is impressive to me, because I've seen a lot of channels that have taken breaks and then come back, and then they come back for like one video and then they're gone. And I'm like, but both of you just feel like you're just in the flow of things again. And I think that's amazing. And I love it, because I feel like there might be a time in my life when I need to take a break from booktube. And I know many of us are going to go through that at some point for whatever reason. And I like the idea that this is a welcoming community, as Simon pointed out earlier, a lovely, wonderful community where we can come back and we're welcome back. So that's, at least on my part, I wanted to come back strong in welcoming you two back. and just telling you to how grateful I am for your content, for your new content, as well as your former content, which of course we'll get into as well a little bit later with the Malazan stuff and new content with the Malazan stuff too. But Andy, how about your answer to this question? Why did you take a break, and what brought you back, and how has it felt coming back into the flow of BookTube? Uh-oh, I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, for some reason my audio phased out, but I am watching the live, so I still heard what you said. Sorry, that's very complicated. But I can answer, and then I'll work on my audio on my side. Sorry about that. So my reason for leaving is kind of weird and unique, but I got elected to public office. I was elected as a representative in Minnesota, state representative, and for a couple of reasons. First off, I was a little concerned about the sort of public side of it. People are always trying to do cruel things to elected officials, and so like having a lot of myself out there was a little nerve-wracking when I first started. So actually, for a while, I hid my channel, except for like 3 videos, like my postmodern video and some other things that I thought was I was really proud of and wanted to keep up. And then the busyness of that, along with all of my life, just I didn't like quit, so to speak, but I kept like posting videos slower and slower, and then just thought like I can't dedicate a lot of time to this right now. But like I always kind of in the back of my mind regretted that decision, because like I said, like I really felt a kinship with this community. Like we had really built strong connections, both with like the community broadly, but also specifically like with friends that I had, which like Rid was one, Joanna, you're one, Alan was one, like people that I really like enjoyed having in my life that now just out of necessity I didn't. So I always kind of was like, I'd like to get back to that if I could. And then in 2025, a couple things happened. I felt like I'd kind of organized my life a little better and gotten used to this new job and this new position, and kind of made the decision of like, this is really important to me. And if someone is going to make a weird thing about me reviewing Malazan books on the internet, and I can't be a good legislator because of that, I can't let them stop something that I think would be very valuable in my life. So, so what I did, the first thing that really like was like, okay, it's time to get back, is I started reading the Red Rising trilogy, which I had been hesitant to read. And my brother-in-law actually gave me his Kindle because he's like, you need to read this. And they had the books on there. So I was like, okay. So I read them, and I had like a lot of thoughts on it. And I was like, I can't tell anyone because, my wife's not a big sci-fi fantasy reader. My brother-in-law, I could have like one conversation with, but like I really wanted to get a lot of these thoughts out there. And so I was like, you know what? I have this. I still have this channel. I have, these people, because I still watched BookTube. And so I was like, let's just do this. And Joanna, I'm so happy you said like, it feels like we came back with a vengeance. Because I wanted to like, if I'm coming back, I want to like come back and really like try to do it again and be part of the community and add something, not just like post videos and run kind of thing. Because I don't think that works on BookTube, and also it's not why I like BookTube. And so I did that, and it was like people started talking about Red Rising in the comments, and I was like, this is great. I forgot how great this was. And then I got the bug again and started, trying to be back on lives more often and make more videos and all that kind of stuff. And how has it been is like fantastic. It is different. I think, Rid, you're clearly right. Like, especially I remember during COVID, like I like almost like I used to do with like TV shows. I was like, okay, so Tuesday there's Jeopardy with Alan, and then on Friday we have Jimmy Nuts, or I don't know if he had started that, but like there was this system of sorry, my cat showing her behind. So it's not quite like that, but like the camaraderie is there. From a really personal perspective, obviously my channel is not like performing as well as it did before, which is fine. And it's something like I'd like to, get back up there, but like that's just, I haven't been here for a while. And what's fun too is there's a bunch of new voices that like have risen since I was away. That I like Michael Cronk, the book guy. I didn't know him when I was before I left, and we did a video on a Malazan novel of the Malazan Empire. He's like the kindest guy. We had a great conversation offline, and then talked about it in the chat. Actually, Philip was there if he's still in the chat. So it's great. I'm so glad I'm here. I think probably. Right now I'm doing 3 videos a week, and that might be a little bit on the a lot side for the long term, but I have so much that I feel like I have to get out because I haven't reviewed some stuff that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I'm really glad I'm here. And it's really fun to have Rid as someone who's coming back at the same time. Like, we're going to announce a read together that we're doing this year. It feels like I have like a buddy of like steadily getting back into the booktube ocean. So
Yes,
it's great.
Awesome. Oh, I'm hearing an echo on my part now. Shoot. See if I can fix that. Apologize. I'm going to go on from here and ask everyone, what is the best book that you've read while on break? Oh, did you mute yourself, Andy? I wonder if that made it go away.
Is it a little better? No echoing? Check 1, 2, 3.
It was not echoing. Is it echoing now?
I don't hear it.
I'm not hearing it. Okay.
And I apologize about the sound. I've been getting some comments in the chat. I'm trying to get closer to my mic to see if that helps. And if it's not, I will have to do some troubleshooting when I'm offline. I apologize for this episode. Go ahead.
It's our rusty YouTuber vibes are.
Yeah, you're with 2 like re-entering rookies, so
yeah.
We can't help. I'm so sorry.
This Yeti Mike and me don't get along for some reason. But go ahead. Yeah. So, best book that you've read while on break.
Oh, okay. Andy, can you go first? I'm gonna look at my Goodreads.
Oh, okay. So I have the first one I thought of is not like a fun, like fantasy booktube one, but I just have to be honest with it. Hold on. It is this huge chonker. It's a book called The Power Broker by Robert Caro. This is a nonfiction history book about a guy named Robert Moses, who's probably like the most powerful guy in American history that you've never heard of. Robert Caro is a tremendous writer. Like this, I know it's hard to say, but like kind of flew by as I read it and was so engaging. He was the head of the public utility, several public utilities in the New York City area, basically from the 1920s to the 1960s. And I could talk about this for a long time. I don't know how many people in the chat will be super jazzed about it, but if you're looking for a great nonfiction, I cannot recommend highly enough Robert Caro. So that's probably the nonfiction. The fiction is, oh man, that's tough. Rid, do you have an answer?
Okay, I'll give my nonfiction answer because I started reading a little bit of nonfiction during my break, and I read Empire of Pain. Actually, I've talked about this on my channel, so I don't know if it counts, but Empire of Pain was really good. It's about the Sackler family and the opioid crisis. It's fantastic. And this year I read Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, and I feel like those 2 books like complement each other really well. And yeah, I just love Empire of Pain because it reads as a narrative, and it's just it doesn't even feel like it's a nonfiction book. Like, I almost wish it was a fiction book because that would mean that the Sackler family and the opioid crisis is a fiction. But yeah, that's a fantastic nonfiction book. I also read Killers of the Flower Moon by David Gran. That was fantastic. Another like sort of narrativized nonfiction novel that reads like a novel. That's my nonfiction pick.
And a great film. If you haven't seen
I have not seen it yet.
Killers of the Flower Moon. I have not read the book, but from what I understand, he changes some stuff of it, but it is a great movie.
Oh, some Okie dude said that he likes the book. And I know that he's been doing a lot. He did a video recently about books that BookTube doesn't talk about enough. I don't know if that was, I don't think that was on your list, Britton, but it got Britton's approval. That's cool.
I think, okay, so I'm just going to cheat and say 3 that are all very good. One is I've been getting a lot into Stephen King recently. I hadn't read a lot of Stephen King before because I thought I was a scaredy cat. And I am a scaredy cat, but I kind of like being a scaredy cat and reading scary books I found out about myself. So I read Pet Sematary, which was just tremendous. I mean, truly.
Yes.
An incredible book and scary. And I have 2 cats that I love incredibly. And if you've read Pet Sematary, you know why that's going to hit me real hard. Like I was scared, I cried, I thought it was beautiful, and I was like, damn, like I have to read more Stephen King. And so I read The Shining and Doctor Sleep. Those were both incredible books. So probably like realizing Stephen King that I like a lot is probably a big part of what happened when I was away. One sort of literary fantastical book that I read is called Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. It is a sort of loose allegory on our changing world, creating a lot of refugees. And the way that they do that is there's sort of a non-specified city where there is all of a sudden these doors just start appearing. And if you walk through the doors, you're transported to another place in the world, which it sounds very simple, but like there's a war going on and it's reached this city and people are trying to decide, do we go through the doors? We don't know where they go. Or, do we stay here and take our chances? And it is extremely, extremely good and very timely. My final one, and this is I don't think this gets enough love on BookTube. I read The Moontide Quartet by David Hare, which is excellent. And I'll probably be making more videos about that because for some reason, I don't understand, it didn't blow up. And it is great. For me, it's like it's Sanderson level good. And for me, the character work is a little better. So I really like The Moontide Quartet by David Hare. That was came out in 2012, but I really enjoyed those.
That sounds familiar. I think I remember you talking about that at one point. And I want to say that Jimmy also brought up that series because of you. Jimmy Nuts.
Ooh,
So
has he read it? Ooh, now I got to
I
talk to Jimmy.
I don't remember if he's read it or if he said that he wanted to read it because you mentioned it.
I may have put out I forget. Did I put out a video on it? Because there's a period where I was like every once in a while putting out videos and I just loved it so much I might have done that. It's so good. 4 books completed, full world building, great action, really unique magic, great, especially like female character perspectives, which is not always a strength of like modern male authors. It's really great. I really, really like it. And because it's so unknown, you can usually get like the Kindle versions for like $1.99, or there's no wait at the public library. So Moontide Quartet, so good.
That's so cool. Yeah. Evie said here that she wants to let me recommend another Stephen.
Ooh.
We're making you a scaredy, Stephen Graham Jones. I do wonder. I mean, I've only read The Only Good Indians, but I wonder if you would like Stephen Graham.
Oh, I do know that I've heard of that book. I didn't. I'll put it on some TBR. Although Evie, I will say the last recommendation I read from Evie was Spear Cuts Through Water, and I did DNF that book, which I feel really bad about, but is the truth. I'm so sorry, Evie. But we'll see. I'll give it another shot.
Yeah. And Rid, I know that you finished Molas and Book of the Fallen while on break.
I did.
What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so I finished in 2023, and like towards the end, I think I read like House of Chains, Reaper's Gale, or House of Chains, like the last 5 books. Like I just read them back to back, and I didn't read anything else. And I think I wouldn't have been able to do that if I had been making booktube videos, because like I would have just wouldn't had anything to make videos about. And that was an interesting experience. I think towards the end I did get like a little burnt out on Malazan doing that, but it was incredible. And Nat, my fiance, Malazan is his favorite series of all time, so it was really special to share that with him.
He's a keeper, Red.
Yeah, he definitely was like it was fun to talk to him about Malazan a lot. And I really want to do a reread because I feel like my first read through, I talked to Andy about this a little bit on our The God Is Not Willing stream, but I feel like I didn't get, like I got like 50% at most out of that series that you can get. Like, there's so much more to mine with Malazan. And I want to reread the series so bad. And it's been 2 years now. So it's kind of fortuitous that I'm coming back now feeling like I'm ready to go back to Malazan after finishing it.
Yeah. Oh, I think about rereading the series all the time. I often joke about the fact that so my first year on BookTube was 2021, and that year I decided to mainly prioritize Malazan Book of the Fallen. And so it meant that I didn't really have a whole lot of other series content on my channel at the time because it takes me so long to read a book. And so
Mhm.
like I read the last 3 books back to back pretty much.
Mhm.
And so like I remember the month of December that year, like I read 1 book and it was The Crippled God. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's a really long book,
If
so
you had to pick one,
yes. No, it's my favorite. That's my favorite in the series. I haven't done a ranking video like you both have done ranking videos. I've never done a ranking video, but if I had to choose one, it would be that. But that series, like I think about going back and restarting it all the time.
yeah.
I might do it. I
Have
might do
you
it.
have you seen Rid's recent ranking video? It's if you are out there and you haven't watched, you should check it out because it's a very unique ranking. I think it's you justify it so well, but I just love seeing how other people experience the series different than I did.
It was
So
so
yeah,
unique. It was the most unique ranking, and this is something I love about your take, and same with your Malazan, both of your Malazan takes. Is I feel like, especially for people, maybe this is unfair, but I do feel like a lot of people are coming into Malazan, and and it's exciting to see new readers come along and get into the series and who have channels. But I feel like I get the sense, and I could be off base on this, but I get the sense that a lot of people maybe feel pressure
yeah,
to talk about Malazan in a certain way and to
Hmm.
have like the perfect wiki book report review of Gardens of the Moon and and
yeah,
I just like there's not I mean and on the one hand that can be helpful for people who are new to the series to not feel as intimidated to think okay this is what this is about but I love it when people come up with like their own fresh uh, takes that are I don't know, just to hear different experiences and takes because it's such a multifaceted series and it appeals to everybody in a different way. And so like that was something I loved about your ranking is because you were bringing up really solid criticisms at times and then other things that you thought were like I want to say something but it'd be spoiler. I can't say it. So everybody
Yeah,
just
that video is full spoilers. I
it is
think
full spoilers.
the
Yeah.
thing with Malazan that I find frustrating sometimes is that it's hard to talk about Malazan without spoilers. It's so much more interesting to talk specifically and be like, X character did Y, and that was the implication, and that ties
yeah.
into this whole theme that Erickson is trying to do. And like that is where Malazan is really interesting to me. And yeah, I think it's a lot of people I've noticed coming back to book two will start like the first 2 books and then never read the rest of the series. And I made a video recently called like Malazan Last Impressions or something. I think I changed the title couple times because booktuber things. But I in that video I say that you should if you read the first 2 books and you're still not sure but you like Erickson's prose at the very least, like give Memories of Ice a try because that might
Mhm.
be your favorite book in the series. And each book feels so unique and different from each of the other books. And if you know that going in, you're so much more likely to have a good time with the series. And I think that like knowing that each book is not going to be like a direct continuation of the last book, knowing that I think will allow a lot of people to have a better time with the series. Because I know that when I went into Malazan, I was expecting something like Wheel of Time, where it's like, oh, this is going to be 10 books and we're going to spend
Mhm.
a lot of time with the same cast of characters. And I love that in Wheel of Time. And I'm so excited. And then it was a completely different experience, but that doesn't mean it was
Yeah.
bad. It was just sort of like a more yeah, the way I described it was like having 10 books that all like circle back to one thematic point, but come at it in like different
Yeah.
ways.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
And
was a lot of
I think
Vera,
that's so well said.
Vera
thank
in
you.
the chat, Vera did a wonderful Gardens of the Moon video a while back. I don't think she's continued, but I just want to shout her out here. And I also quickly want to shout out Nerdy Kathy. If you all don't know Nerdy Kathy's channel, she has been reading the Malazan series. She has incredible long reviews, spoiler-filled reviews on every single book so far. She still has yet to read The Crippled God, but I mean, she is so thorough and again, just really relating to the series in a very authentic way. So I just love her reviews. So I highly recommend her
I
channel.
just Nerdy Kathy, I just subscribed, so I'll be watching those later.
Yes. But I just want to speak to Rid's point here because I completely agree with you. I think that there's so much said about the complexity of Malazan. There's a lot to be said about that. That was what inspired my friend David from Four Corners of the Page and I, who are both, he's a Malazan fan too. We both did a video on book difficulty because we wanted to say, like, I think people, we just wanted to make sure that we brought more attention to what people mean when they say difficult, because different people mean different things when they say that word. But with Malazan, I don't know that it necessarily speaks to difficulty. It could, but it does speak to expectation in a fantasy series of what you're saying, that a lot of times in fantasy series, we're following one character or a small group of characters throughout a long journey. And it's not like that in Malazan. Like the fact that you're introduced to so many characters in book one, go to book 2 introduced to many more characters, and then book 3, I think we're in a different, no, we're exploring different continents, whole new cast. Book 5, we're still getting a whole new cast, different continent, all the way up until even in book 10, we're still getting introduced to new characters.
Yeah.
So it's not something that like, okay, I'm gonna get settled in. It never quite settles in that way, the way that you might have
Yeah. And I feel like you can, because it's so sort of discrete, each book feels discrete from the other books, you can like read Gardens of the Moon, step back, read Dead House Gates, step back. It's not like you're, I don't know, I feel like it allows you to like take a little bit more time between books in a way, because if you're going to have to meet new characters, you might as well like, you know, take a little bit of time in between books and read it. You don't have to read it the same way that you would read like Wheel of Time, you know?
I almost would say people shouldn't read it like that. Like, don't go in thinking like, the next 10 books I'm going to read are Gardens of the Moon, Dead House Gates, Memories Eyes. Like, I actually think you will get quite fatigued.
Yeah. Yeah, I can say that from experience. Even reading the last 5 books of the series that way and not making videos, like I got fatigued by the end, even though I like Malazan, I love Malazan. It's a lot to digest in one go.
Yeah, that's why I never recommend Malazan read-alongs. I think they usually fail for a reason. I mean, I'm sure that a couple of them have succeeded, but most of them I would say fail because I think it's so individual where a person is and how they want to, whether they want to jump right into the next book or whether they need to take some time and process it. For me, I took quite a bit of space between books 2 and 3. And during that space, I think it was good for me because my expectations, I did not have the right expectations going into Dead House Gates. And when I finished the book, it was, I always, this is where I always talk about Andy and his video on Malazan, postmodern critique. Is that?
Yep.
Never
Postmodern critique of the fantasy genre.
Yes. Because that video recontextualized my expectations of the series and helped me understand what I was getting into. Because I don't think I quite understood what I was getting into. And so when I took that space, I remember a couple of things happened. One, I watched your review of that. I think I watched Alan's Dead House Gates review during that time. And I also watched Brittany, Books with Brittany, a wonderful interview with Stephen Erickson. I love that interview. And during that time, processing all these different ways of understanding the series, it helped me to adjust my expectations, but it also made me realize that there were parts of Dead House Gates I couldn't stop thinking of. And when I realized, even though I didn't feel like I 100% fell in love with that book, because I couldn't stop thinking about a character named Ellison. I couldn't stop thinking about what happened towards the end of the book. And because those things kept on coming up in my thoughts 6 months later, I thought, and then I watched your video, Andy, and a couple of the others I mentioned. Then I realized, okay, I think I'm ready to go back. Like this is, I'm now in. Like I think I needed that processing time though. I think that could be a good idea. That if you're not sure, take all the time you need. And if you find your mind going back, that's a good sign. But if you find you're like, I don't think I want to go back, you'll know over time, I think.
Yeah. I think people like in modern fantasy, like Malazan is much more like Discworld, where they're like sort of standalone thoughts or meditations on certain things, not in tone, obviously it's not comedic, but like the way that series is a series, but also is kind of all over the place and more thematic than like a Stormlight Archive or even like the First Law, which I'm like reading, where it's just like a continual thing. And I think going into it with that thought is hopefully helpful. Can I ask you guys a question about a potential video that I have an idea for? And as Malaz heads, I want your thoughts. So like there's a ton of videos on BookTube about like, what is Malazan about? And almost all of them start out with, well, it's hard to say what Malazan is about because so much of the fun is like discovering what the overall like plot is, right? Like how these three, and then they'll talk about compassion or, you know, the themes that really tie everything together. I made a video like that. I think that's a great way of going about it. I have not found a video yet that actually is like, so listen, you might be having some trouble with Malazan. Let me just tell you broadly what like the story is, like not with full spoilers, but like here's what ties things together and actually answer the question. Because there's a really cool question. If I'm talking to someone who knows what the series, like what is Malazan about? Like what's the story? And I can be like, there's actually a really cool like fantasy overall story happening that you really don't even put together till the 10th book, which is part of the fun. But I understand some people don't like that. So I've been kind of going back and forth of like, should I just make a video of like, what is Malazan about? Minimal spoilers, but some spoilers for those of you who like want the context of what you're about to read. Do you think that'd be valuable?
Yeah, I think that definitely would. I see a lot of people doing videos like that for like TV shows. Well, they'll like have a cork board and be like, this is the plot of the Vampire Diaries. And like just explain the plot. And it's very entertaining. And I think that it would make sense for Malazan. And like some people don't care about spoilers. Like they will actually like knowing what happens in a series makes them want to read it more. So I think those kinds of people would really appreciate a video like that.
Yeah, interesting. I am so curious about this. Thank you so much, Faye Fox. I appreciate that so much. That book difficulty discussion was just such a pleasure to have. And I really appreciate that it came up on your feed. It seemed to bring in a new audience for me, which I really appreciate. And hello, Overly Average Ben. I just watched your video this morning. Did a really compelling video about the male readership. And also, Ben finished Malazan Book of the Fallen, by the way, this last year.
Wow.
About that as well. So, really interesting question, Andy. So, are you saying, if am I understanding right? So, you would be explaining the big context spoiler for the series?
Yes, specifically. Well, no, I can't say specifically. The structure of why the thing, like overall, why some of the bad things are happening in the way that they are happening, and the backstory there, because it's super cool and it's super like fantasy people would be like, that's an awesome idea, but you don't really get it till the end. So you really got to trust Erickson a long way, which I loved doing. Like that's something that I really loved, but I don't know. I know not everyone is the same kind of reader, so it'd be interesting to see if people would like that kind of video. And obviously people can shut off the video if they don't want spoilers, if they're really
I think you should do it. I think you should do it because I think some people, they might just want to just tell me what it is. You know, otherwise so I was actually having this conversation with my friend Whitney. I don't think she'd mind me saying this, Secret Sauce of Storycraft, because we were talking about what constitutes a spoiler, especially because like in science fiction, the big idea, like if somebody explains what the big idea of the story is, that can sometimes be a spoiler for what the book's about, you know, what we're really going for. And so I was asking her, like, is this a spoiler? Or like, for example, in my last video, I was talking about Blind Sight by Peter Watts. And I was trying to be so careful not to give away exactly what Watts was exploring in the story. Because I was like, even thematically, and also there was another book in that wrap up where I'm like, if I give away the themes, I'm almost giving away what the story is about, like a spoiler of the twist. And so we were talking about it, and she said, you know, some people even, you know, some people are just more sensitive than other people. And she said, I've had to decide, like as a creator, that it's okay to say this book has a twist at the end. And some people say, the fact you said it was a twist, there's a twist at the end means you gave away, this is a spoiler. You gave away that there's a twist at the end. She said, too bad, because some people won't even read the book if they don't know that there's a twist at the end, you know? And she said she brought up a really good case of a book that we loved and that we didn't know that there was a twist ending. But she said she lent it to a friend or gave a copy to a friend, and the friend wouldn't read it. And she said, okay, there's a really interesting twist at the end. So finally the friend read it because of that and then loved it. And so sometimes people aren't going to read until they like get that thing. and different readers are different, but they can just choose not to watch on,
Yes,
if they're
yes.
like, so I think you should do it. I think actually that's a brilliant idea.
All right. This is what I needed. I'll get right on it. I do think that, Joanna, that's an interesting, like, I think people need to think about the responsibility of you clicking on a video as well. Like, the responsibility is not all just with content creators. If you are the kind of person who does not want spoilers and you consider like a character being in a book a spoiler, or a theme or something a spoiler, you probably shouldn't watch a lot of booktube, because, or at least like booktube of books you haven't watched, because that's part of what reviewing is. And it's kind of this weird clash of like the rise of internet like fandoms with like the rise of like a lot of like spoiler fan servicey things like the Marvel universe. And I think that kind of the last decade created this big like, you can't talk about anything, which like it's not as fun.
That's true.
Yeah.
Though I have to admit, I am a little sensitive to spoilers, and I am glad that I didn't know when I got to the end of the series. But I'm one reader, and there are so many readers that I feel like that's like almost I don't know, that's almost like a bar for them. That if they get past that, I think that it would increase their enjoyment or interest in continuing. So I say go for it.
All right.
What do
I'm
you
in.
think, Rid? Do you agree or?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great idea. And I think some people read, when I was reading Malazan, I felt like there was going to be a point, and I felt like in the narrative there was a promise that this was all working towards something really interesting, and that alone, the sort of narrative promise, was enough for me. But I think for some people they need it a little bit more explicit to be like, this is all going somewhere. And I think that if you like the sort of, I was just sort of happy reading Erickson's prose and like enjoying his dialogue on like a sentence to sentence level, and so that's what kept me going. But what keeps other people or other readers going is totally different, so I think it would be great for them.
Yeah, I agree about that. Yeah, for me, I really, I think because of your video, Andy, the way that I started to appreciate Erickson's books even more. I love his prose, exactly what Britt is saying here. There's so much to appreciate sentence by sentence and what he does. And I am going to parrot Philip a little bit here, because I think Philip nailed it one time when he said that one of Erickson's strengths as a writer is his range as a writer. That he's able to write these poetic epigraphs, but then he's able to do this fun dialogue banter with army soldiers, with the Marines, and then he's able to do these epic cinematic battle scenes, and then he's able to do these deep character moments, like these intimate moments with characters. So he's able to just go through so many different aspects are represented in his writing, which is incredible in and of itself. But at the same time, I think because of your video, Andy, like one thing I think it shifted in my brain was to think of it more as a thematic exploration rather than a plot exploration. And so once I started to do that and just like started to analyze what are the themes we're exploring, that for me opened up my mind to read in a different way. And in that way, I feel like actually that just changed my whole reading journey right there. So yeah, I think I think that's actually one of my favorite things to explore in books. Tuesday Fox says here, guide to vids are a great idea, but I think have to be concise. When I see, for example, how to read Malazan with a 90-minute runtime, I find it slightly off-putting. Well, I don't know that Andy was thinking about a 90-minute video. I'm curious about where that will go.
That is very Malazan coded, though. Someone being like, easy guide to Malazan. It's a 4-hour video on YouTube. That is.
I think it is interesting, though, because I feel like there are other series where you start off the book not knowing a lot, and those series get almost like celebrated for that. Like I'm thinking of Stormlight. Like when I read Way of Kings, I was like, what the hell's going on with this guy wearing white? Like, in like there was a lot of stuff that I didn't understand about the world, but I just sort of accepted that as part of what Sanderson was trying to do. And I really wonder why, like when it comes to Malazan, people will read Gardens of the Moon, which is less, first book in a 10-book series. It's less than 10% of all the information you're going to have at any point. And like people are like, well, I don't understand what's going on. But it's like, well, it's the first book in the series too. Like I wonder why Malazan has this like difference in perception, and I wonder maybe that's because of the fandom. But yeah, it's curious to me.
Yeah, that is interesting. Good question. Ben says here, sometimes you can inadvertently spoil something. I made a joke video years ago predicting the Animalazin, and I received a comment saying spoilers, which I thought was a joke but happened. That's wild. That's wild. Yeah. And then
Now I'm curious. Overly Average Ben, I want to hear what that accidental spoiler was.
in a DM.
Yeah,
That's true.
probably can't tell. Yeah, DM me on Discord or something. Rid, I kind of feel the same way. Like there are a lot of great books, even stuff like, I don't know, we talked about Stephen King. Like I read the first Gunslinger, and a lot of that is like, what is going on? What? Obviously that's a little shorter. I do think part of it is like that Erickson, as I said this in the postmodern video, he's playing with form, he's playing with voice, and he's playing with like crazy fantasy concepts all at the same time. And so it's kind of challenging in multiple ways at the same time. Whereas Sanderson is oh, I'm hearing echo. Did something happen?
Oh, hold on. It's
Or
probably
is that just me?
Could be me.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's probably me. I just tried to change the setting on my audio because I got another comment that my audio is in and out.
Okay. So sorry. I don't hear it now. But like Sanderson is certainly in his fantasy concepts are a little challenging in Stormlight Archive, but his prose certainly isn't, and his form certainly isn't, right? He has like three main characters that you're always with.
Yeah.
And, well, not always, but except for the interludes, but like is really well defined. And I think a lot more people come to Sanderson Stormlight like with Sanderson background, like whether they read Mistborn or something else, and so they're kind of ready for his this is just I'm just kind of going off the spit question. That might be why. You are talking about with BookTube's biggest Sanderson critic, so you know this might be uncharitable, but I think that's probably why. But I do agree. I feel like if you're confused, just keep going. You know, there is, as you said, it's 10% of the information you're going to get.
Yeah, really good point there. Apologize about my mic settings. I don't really know what's going on. I've been trying different things, and unfortunately, I haven't been able to figure it out. So, really sorry about that. I want to
Shadow Throne.
The Shadow Throne. Aw, why am I being targeted?
Chaos. Who knows?
Chaos. Yeah. So I thought I'd go ahead and shift to a different topic a little bit. I'm currently reading Ship of Destiny, book 3 in the Live Ship Traders. Yes.
Sorry, that was a big. I love Live Ship Traders so much.
Yeah. What is your favorite book in the Live Ship Traders?
Probably Ship of Destiny. I think the ending it's well, I won't say anything about that, but it pulls it together really well, and like all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is what she was doing, and it just bowled me over. There's a very controversial thing that happens, not controversial, but like something that a lot of people describe at the end, and they kind of, you know, can roll with that or not roll with that, or anyway. But I think it's just tremendous.
Oh, interesting. What about you, Rid? What's your favorite book in Live Ship?
So it's been a while since I read Live Ship. I think it's been like 6 years. But I remember loving Mad Ship. Mad Ship was very good, and I remember in your Evie and I are just on the same wavelength.
Maybe you should read The Spear That Cuts Through Water, because Evie,
you know what?
loves that book.
I will. Also, I don't know if I can spoil this, but Evie and I are going to be hanging out IRL soon because we both live in the same state now. So I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
But yeah, Mad Ship is so good. And Joanna, I was watching your recent wrap up, and you mentioned a character who has a really fun turnaround in that book, and I love that. I will say that I'm a big Fitz book enjoyer, so all the Fitz trilogies for me rank above the Live Ship Traders, but I love Live Ship Traders as well, and I think they're very essential to Fitz's story. It almost like sort of gives a like sense of the passage of time, because okay, I'm not to spoil anything, but between Farseer and Tawny Man, there's like a little bit of time, and so
not to spoil anything, but time does march on.
does move in a linear fashion. So like having that detour adds to Fitz's story, and like I would never tell anyone to skip Live Ship or the Rainwild Chronicles, even though the Rainwild Chronicles have their issues, but they're so important to the story overall, and Hobb does some really, really interesting stuff with world building. But yeah, I'm so happy that you're loving Live Ship Traders, Joanna.
Yes. I'll be honest. So I'm 63% through the ebook of Ship of Destiny right now. I'm a slow reader. I'm curious. Do you think that I've gotten anywhere near the controversial scene? Okay.
No,
I'm really
that happens.
curious.
That happens. I would say around 80%. It's part of the climax, and it is. I mean, it's Robin Hobb through and through. I think that's the most I can say without spoilers. Of like, she deals with something in a really interesting way, and it's unexpected, but like also makes sense. Oh, it's so. Are you having a spoiler discussion when you finish Live Ship Traders?
I don't know. I think there might be one that's in the works, possibly with Derry and Bookborn. I'm not sure though. I think I don't know. I don't know. I'll I'll let you know. But I'm open to possibly multiple discussions on Robin
I would be
Hobb.
so curious to hear your thoughts, and actually, both of those folks as well probably have really interesting thoughts on that series as a whole.
Yeah, I could tell you two things that are really, maybe three things or four things that are really standing out to me right now with this series is the way that I'm trying to think of how to frame this. One thing that's really standing out to me is the way that I know people have said this a lot about Fitz, about how, and about the Fitz books, is about how when a character goes through something traumatic, that Robin Hobb doesn't forget, that she brings that weight of what the character has gone through. It doesn't just magically leave them. Like there's always some ripple effect of what's happened to a character that echoes in their future storyline, something along those lines. That's what I've heard people say before. But I would say that the same thing I'm noticing in Live Ship, because there are so many characters that have gone through such traumatic, different things, just wild transformations. And you get the sense they have to let go of this idea of ever going backwards. And it even happens on a societal level, like society's shifting without giving away spoilers. And people have to accept that we can't just return to the way things were and imagine that it's going to all be well again, that there are certain things that have to shift fundamentally forever in order to grow, in order to move forward. There's even a character who even says something along those lines to another character, but then if you look across storylines, you see how that theme plays a role in so many different storylines, and so I'm really impressed with that. And I'm also impressed. I'm just impressed also with yeah. I think that would be the biggest one I would say. But again, I think as I mentioned in the last wrap up, I think also just the way she's playing, especially with Live Ship Traders, how she's playing with this idea of trade as transaction, and then versus slavery or coercion, or robbing one's agency, and then the role of self-sacrifice, or even or the role of selfishness, and how those things are all, I don't know, they're all kind of in conversation with one another in the series, which I think is interesting. But yes, the character transformation I mentioned, Rid, in book 2, I am so impressed with the way Robin Hobb did that. So one of my favorite things in books in general, and I noticed this, I mentioned this in a video last year, is when a character has an epiphany, when they have a revelation about something. And it doesn't have to be a big aha, like a big epiphany, but even if it's a subtle one, but it has a ripple effect. I love with this character how we get these gradual little insights. Self-awareness starts to grow little bit by little bit. And I thought it was so well handled personally. So I think it was just chef's kiss, incredible the way she did that. I've been so tempted. I don't know if I will, but I've been so tempted to. There's like one particular passage that, like a section of the book of Madship, that I've wanted to do like a video close reading about, to talk about the little tiny things that Robin Hobb has put on the page that are so subtle, but so organic, but adds so much depth to the character and the setting. She's such a gifted writer. I'm so
Yeah.
so in awe of her prose.
And like Erickson, as you said, she deals with the subjects she chooses to write about in incredibly honest ways. Like as you said, the slavery storyline in the first couple books, like a lot of writers have slavery in their books, and it's kind of like, that's bad. Like, those are the bad people, which, like, to be clear, that is very bad. But like, we don't get the viewpoint. We aren't forced to kind of live in why that is evil, and the dehumanization, and how it's like, if I'm going to talk about this, my readers need to like feel this and feel it from all angles. And that's how we are the most honest about historical wrongs or historical goods or our heroes or our villains. And she understands that on such a deep level with such a broad range of topics and casts in the realm of the otherlings. Yeah, well said.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just yeah, I'm in awe. I'm in awe so far. Unlike Evie and Brid, though, I have to admit that Mad Ship is probably my least favorite so far.
Oh, really?
I did prefer Ship of Magic, and I am preferring Ship of Destiny right now. And I can't even tell you why. Well, I can tell you why. There was a storyline in book 2 that I just did not connect to at all, and it made it so I had a hard time picking up the book. But I am feeling much better in book 3, and even with that, there's still so much in the book that in Mad Ship that I'm blown away by. Like, I'm frankly blown away by. I think it's. I honestly still think, or I'm thinking that Robin Hobb is. I can understand why so many regard her as like one of the best fantasy writers. I could see why. And it's interesting because
Realm of the Otherlings is my number 3 all-time favorite. Only Lord of the Rings and Malazan is above it. It's so good.
yeah, 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 I can understand that because I don't think many authors have a gift that she has. I mean, it's her prose is accessible. It's not hard to read. Like, it's easy on the eyes. I feel like there's such a great flow to it. But that's a good sign to me. That's not a bad thing. That's a
Yeah.
good sign. Like, that's a sign of her having a gift with her words. She's always building to something, always going somewhere, always unfolding imagery so seamlessly. So I just find her it's so easy to be transported, but then she does so much subtle emotional character work. Like, it's so layered at the same time without you realizing it. Like, it's almost like
Yeah.
you don't realize how much heavy lifting she's doing because you're having such an easy flow experience with her prose. So it just boggles my mind how she's able to do that.
I think her relationships are as well are where she really shines, because I think she'll have these like 5 incredibly dimensional, like beautiful characters, and then she puts them all on the same page, and then they all interact with each other, and then like change how you view each other in relation to each other, and like they will build these friendships and have these like incredibly layered relationships with each other, and I love that.
Yes. Oh, I totally agree. I've been so impressed with that. Go ahead.
So good. Reed, I was just going to ask, because you're a huge Hobb fan, have you read the Soldier Sun trilogy? The one
No,
she
I
did
have not.
outside of the realm of the Elderlings?
I have not.
That doesn't get enough talk. It is probably like not, I would say, like, I didn't love The Fitz and the Fool. Like, it's kind of like that level of quality. Like, it's not the top of my Realm of the Otherlings, but like, it's something I think is not talked about enough. And if you love Realm of the Otherlings and what you just talked about, like those relationships or taking some not controversial, but like real life world tough things and being very honest with it, it's also a banger. I would strongly recommend. I don't think enough people like do Realm of the Otherlings and then eventually get to her Soldier Sun trilogy. I think it's very, very good.
Just wanted to bring up, it says Obrid has read The Dragon's Path by Daniel Abraham. I know you were mentioning Daniel Abraham in a recent video. Right?
Yeah, I read The Dragon's Path. I'm actually on book 4 of that series, The Widow's House. I read this on recommendation from Jimmy Nuts, and it's been great. I love the series so far. It's about like the series title is The Dagger and the Coin, and I was reading a interview with Daniel Abraham, and he wanted to write a series where like violence and battle scenes were like not the main like focus of the series, and so he deals with a lot of the things around war and like finance and all these other things, and I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, but it's really good so far, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
You're not doing a
Yeah.
terrible job because that makes me want to read it so
I
bad. Because
know.
I've been working on a video called like real life politics versus fantasy politics because I obviously
Yeah,
have some things in both, and that sounds like a great
you
thing
would
to
love it.
read
I think
before
you would
that.
really
Okay.
like it, Andy.
I think this would be a good taste test for me because I've noticed I'm very hit or miss. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if political fantasy. A lot of people say they want to pick up books because it's political, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm as interested in political fantasy or not. But I love any book that deals with like societal themes, and of course that could be highly political. So
I
I'm
think
just
you would like it,
curious.
Joanna, because it's not political. There is like a court intrigue plot line, but there's like four different characters and they're all like doing different things. So you'll have one character who's on a magical quest, and you'll have one character who's like running a bank and trying to like figure out how to make money. Like literally that's the plot. And then like you'll have another character who's doing like more of the typical like court intrigue kind of thing. So there's a lot going on at any given moment, and it's not all just like the same thing.
Okay,
Joanna, I have a recommendation for you based on politics. And
okay.
I bring this up because I know Rid also really likes this book. Have you ever tried The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison?
I haven't, but I have heard that is a good political fantasy.
So I would say like as a test, because the standalones, you're not really getting, roped into something if you don't want to get roped into it. I think this does like court intrigue fantasy while also being very, very interesting and thoughtful and really cool themes. And in a standalone, really, really great. I made like a 8 best standalones in fantasy. This made the list. I really like this book. And it might be a good test to be like, do I like fantasy? Let's see before I get into, another, 4 book long series or
I mean,
whatever.
I do love A Song of Ice and Fire. I mean, it's one of my favorite series, but I have wondered if is that just an outlier? You know what I mean? So I am curious. I might try that out.
Someone in the chat just said it's so boring, Andy. So apparently for them, this is not the choice. But I love this book.
Oh no, no.
The Goblin Emperor for me is what I wish all cozy fantasy was, because I find that series very cozy, or that book very cozy. It's like about this goblin guy.
You really find airship crashes just super cozy?
Well, it's about this guy, like basically this little goblin person who all of his family die basically in this airship crash. And this isn't spoilers. This is the
first chapter.
Inciting incident of the book. And like he's like 12th in line for the throne, and because of this airship crash he ends up becoming the emperor. And it's about him like overcoming like trauma, like I don't want to trauma, but also like making friends. So it's just very cozy to me. And I've tried reading like cozy fantasy, and I come away from it not like feeling a little bit unsatisfied for some reason. So I don't know, it's kind of cozy to me.
Nice. We'll see. Yeah. Oh, and we got a question here about First Law. So Andy, I know you did not like the First Law trilogy, and then you got a little more into the standalones.
I did. So I read the First Law kind of like, I think everyone has this moment in their fantasy reading journey where you like are like, oh, there's this whole world of fantasy, like after you read your first big one or whatever. And I remember back in, this is like in, I don't know, 2012 or something, like just post for me college. I was like, I just want to read all of these like top 10 ones. So just kind of like took it out, and I did First Law, and I was like, yeah, it wasn't bad. But I didn't love it. And then recently, Joanna, you had a top 10 where you mentioned The Age of Madness, like made it really high. I forget where it was on the list, but it was really high. And you sold it to me. And I was like, I really trust Joanna. And like, I kind of getting the bug to get back in because so many people love this. So I recently reread the First Law. I was going to read the whole First Law trilogy. I read The Blade itself and was like, okay, I remember this, and moved on to the standalones. I actually just recorded my First Law trilogy spoiler review, kind of like good, not great, where I go over all my gripes. I literally recorded it yesterday, so it'll drop probably next week. So please go check that out. It's not like a rant review, but it is like I have some pretty big problems with some of the characters. But But I did read the standalones this summer, and they were all better. I thought The Heroes was good. It's basically like Saving Private Ryan. It's like a 3-day battle, and Abercrombie's really good at battle scenes, so that was fun. And then Red Country, for the first time, there were a couple characters that weren't know-it-all assholes, which I was like, hey, that's a great change. I'm very excited about that not being the only viewpoint we have. And then I started Age of Madness, A Little Hatred. I'm currently 50% of the way through, and so far it's my favorite Abercrombie book, probably by a mile. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm glad that I sort of like strapped in and got through them. So that's the overview without spoilers of where I'm at with First Law.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I remember when you were when you initially read the first law, and I remember why you weren't crazy about it. And I remember thinking, yeah, this is just not for Andy. This is just not for Andy. And so I never meant to encourage you to read on, but at the same time that you are reading on,
Yeah,
I can see how Age of Madness would work for you better. I don't know that. I mean, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling. I'm glad to hear that it's been going better for you. But I do feel like the societal themes, and like I said, it is political in a lot of ways. But I do feel like the societal themes are stronger in Age of Madness. I feel like we're getting more strong. Yeah, I think that's a stronger thing. You have like sections
more diversity and like character type and viewpoint, and like Abercrombie does have a very distinct voice, but to me, especially in the first trilogy, it's like a 1 or 2 note voice, and I kind of was like, I like use this power in other realms as well. And I struggled with that, but it's better in Age of Madness. I guess I'll just say that for now. So I'm happy that you encouraged me. That's what booktube is for. I also think it's interesting because so many people, when they talk about postmodern fantasy, they will talk about obviously Malazan, but also First Law, because he does change expectations and deals with genre normality quite a bit. But I actually think it's done in sort of a not irresponsible, it's too harsh, but in a way that I think is for the sake of it rather than for an interesting structural exercise. I don't know. I don't want to say too much more because I'll have that video next week. If you read First Law, that'll go with spoilers where I talk about a couple characters. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm so glad. I'm excited to watch that video. And Anita says that ring me up if you want, if and when you are in Toronto, Rid. So everybody wants to hang out with you now in person. You got a following here. Yeah, and Grace and I too. Also.
Yeah, let's do it. Toronto
everybody
meetup.
Wants to hang out. Let's just do a big Rid meetup. That would be fun. What are you all reading right now? By the way, what are you two reading?
I'm reading The Widow's House by Daniel Abraham. I'm in the middle of like 5 books at any given moment, so I'm reading that. I'm reading Monster Baru Cormorant, the second book in that series by Seth Dickinson. I'm reading I'm reading a bunch of different stuff, but those are the 2 main ones that I'm focusing on right now.
I am reading A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie, and then I'm reading a biography on John Quincy Adams, which has been fascinating. John Quincy Adams' Militant Spirit by James Traub. And then I just finished, so I guess I'm not in it, but I want to talk about it. I just finished the 3rd Murderbot book. And that has been so fun. Those are great little books.
That is cool. Yeah.
Joanna, what are you reading?
I'm reading Ship of Destiny. And I started the audiobook, though. I'm terrible with audiobooks, so we'll see if I can continue it. But I started the audiobook of Warriors. I want to say it's called Warrior's Apprentice. It's by Lois McMaster Bujold. It's from the Vorkosigan Saga sci-fi series. And so it's an extremely popular sci-fi series. So, and I love Lois McMaster Bujold's writing in Curse of Chalion, which is an excellent fantasy standalone. Have you guys read any Lois McMaster Bujold?
No.
Highly recommend Curse of Chalion. It's more of like a traditional fantasy story, but it's told from what I loved about it is it's the main character is named Kazriel, and I just call him Kaz because I'll butcher his name, but he's kind of like a war veteran. I mean, he's gone through a lot before the story begins, which you learn about as you go on. And he ends up going back to the castle where he's originally was a page in, and he ends up becoming the princess's mentor. So it's kind of fun because you usually have the mentor-mentee relationship in fantasy, but in this case, we're getting it from the mentor's perspective, and we're getting introduced to the world of the five gods, where there are these demons and there are these gods, and it's like a medieval fantasy setting. But Bejeweled is an excellent writer. I love the way she gives you exposition through the character's perspective without slowing things down. It feels like very seamlessly integrated into the story. Really good high emotional moments. It's a series, but each of the books apparently can be read as standalones. So I loved it.
Well, if it's on the Hob Index of generic fantasy name to quality, Warrior's Apprentice seems like it would rank pretty high based on this.
Yeah.
Have you made a video about that? Is there that should be a video, Rid, your generic name to
maybe
Hob
I will.
Index.
Warrior's Apprentice is from a sci-fi series, though.
Okay.
So Curse of Chalian is her fantasy world. Sorry, I did not distinguish that very well. But
no worries.
She's known for writing fantasy books, and also in World of the Five Gods. That's her fantasy series, where she has a ton of novellas and she has a ton of standalones, or 3 standalones, main standalones, I should say. Curse of Chalian is the standalone where you could start, and I would highly recommend it if you all love medieval fantasy and you want a really good solid standalone, excellent writing. And then she has a huge sci-fi series called the Kosagen Saga. And so that
I thought that Curse of Chalian was part of that saga, so that's good to know, actually.
Yeah, different series by the same author. So it's kind of cool that she can go back and forth, though. She could do sci-fi. She's popular in the sci-fi world for Kosagen, but she's popular in the fantasy world for the World of the Five Gods. But yeah, she's a very prolific writer. So she has tons and tons of books in both of these series. But yeah, I started her sci-fi series. Apparently there are a couple of different entry points for her sci-fi series. And I tried out the Warrior's Apprentice based on a sci-fi friend of mine's recommendation. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying out an audiobook. I'm terrible with sci-fi and fantasy on audio. Like I really struggle keeping the names straight and the world building straight.
I feel like the narrator makes a big difference with some audiobooks. Sometimes I open up an audiobook from like the library on my app and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is going to be an ebook one because I can't deal with this narrator.
Yeah. I mean, the narrator is good. It's just my brain, like my working memory for some reason. Because in fantasy and sci-fi, you always have various locations, and then things are different than our world, and various names. And sometimes the names are pronounced kind of funny. And for some reason, I don't know, my brain just like, it's so different for me than if I'm reading a lit-fic book or something that's in our world. I don't know if you have if anybody has any recommendations. I'm really struggling with audiobooks lately, but yeah, maybe it's just something I need to get used to. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm very similar where like I love audiobooks, but they have to be like a certain kind of fantasy audiobook. Like I don't even think I'd read Hob or certainly not Erickson. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other, like even like Dagger and Coin series. Like for me, that seems like something like I want to read that. But like I use my audiobooks kind of as either like nonfiction ones. So like my John Quincy Adams book is there, or like books that I know are a little not lighter, but like aren't as dense in the storytelling. It's like Murderbot is what I did, or like the Jim Butcher series. I actually did some First Law on audiobook. That's kind of normally what I, but I struggle if there is like a big epic fantasy that I'm really like digging my teeth into to do that through the ears.
Yes.
To mix metaphors.
Yeah, I wish I could. You know, it's interesting because I know Philip Chase, like he used to say some, he used to think, he gave the impression that he wouldn't be somebody who could ever get into audiobooks. He said, I've tried, I zone out, I can't do it. But lately he's been getting into all types of audiobooks. He's shifted his brain. So I'm like, maybe
what do you do when you listen to an audiobook?
Yeah,
like,
that's
are you
key.
Doing something? Because that helps me focus a lot. Like I love having like a long drive in an audiobook and just getting on the highway, driving in a straight line, listening to an audiobook is some of my favorite ways of doing it. But also I got like a coloring book and like sometimes will just sit and like color and listen to an audiobook, which is such a like kindergartner activity, but it's very relaxing. And it I feel like having something to do with your hands helps you like focus on what you're doing.
Oh, that's a good point. So usually I've been doing it during my lunch hour. So
Mhm.
just usually while I'm making lunch and eating and just walking around the kitchen sorting things.
That's a good activity.
Yeah. So usually during that time, and then I also listen to audiobooks to fall asleep. So I always set my sleep timer on. So I like
Yep.
because audio. I love the sleep timer. Sleep timer is the
Mhm.
best thing ever. So I set it for
That
like
was a
15.
game changer for me when I found out that was a feature. It's like wonderful.
It's a game changer. I always fall asleep before it's over, like before the
Mhm.
15 minutes is over.
But then what do you do if you like don't remember what
I bookmark it, and
uh-huh.
then I set the timer, and then the next day I will either go back to the bookmark or I'll go slightly after to where
Yeah.
I left off. But because it's only
Oh,
15
interesting.
minutes, it's not like I'm going to spoil a lot in 15
Yeah.
minutes of
Yeah.
audiobook listening times, especially at one time speed. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
Normally it's like actually usually how it works now is like because I use it especially when I'm in session, meaning like I'm at the Capitol. We have late sessions and it's hard for me to kind of turn my brain off and be able to sleep during that
Mhm.
time. And so it's good to have like the audiobooks. And then normally for me, it's like it ends and it kind of fades away on my app, which is really nice. And so I'm kind of like
Oh.
thinking of other things that I'm able to like transition to sleep. But if I do fall asleep, it's only like, 15 minutes. You can usually kind of scrub and find pretty quick, like, oh yeah, I do remember that. And then start again. But I agree. That's only certain books do I do that with. But if you find one that works there, it's really great.
I feel
yeah.
like that would be bad for me because I drive while I listen to audiobooks. So if I train my brain to fall
Yeah.
asleep while I try
That's a
listening
good
to
point.
audiobooks, I'm gonna start zoning out.
I used to. I used to listen to audiobooks while driving,
Mhm.
and I used to not have a problem at all with doing that. But for some reason lately, I've been zoning out a lot while driving. I don't know if I'm more distracted lately or something, but I'm trying. I'm trying to get better at it. It's just been a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, and like I said with Vorkosigan Saga, there are two different entry points, and so I chose one. I chose The Warrior's Apprentice, but Shards of Honor is the one that's more popular. But a friend of mine just kept on talking me into Warrior's Apprentice. But I might just jump into Shards of Honor. So
Mhm.
thank you for that comment here.
Those are
I know.
super fun generic fantasy titles. Those are
I
like Mad
know.
Gab
Yeah, it sounds
fantasy,
like a
like
fantasy title,
noun. Yeah,
not a
noun
sci-fi
of
title.
noun or assassin's noun. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
That's funny. Yeah, good point. I can't do audiobooks, but I hear nothing but good things about Stephen Pacey. Mary, yeah, he's
Yeah,
amazing with Abercrombie's audiobooks as well. A lot of Bejeweled talk here. Bejeweled, if not if for Hob fans who want farsier pacing. Okay, yeah. For Kosakin is such an interesting series because the character grows up. It's space opera at the beginning, but becomes a mature man falling in love,
Mm.
solving government problems. Yeah, what I'm liking about the character Miles Verkosigan, who we're introduced to in Warrior's Apprentice, is that he's somebody who's disabled. So he's born with this condition that affects his bones, and so he stands at like 5 feet tall, and he has some struggles physically, but he seems to have an he's incredibly talented with his cognitive skills and his thinking.
Mm.
Uh, he's an interesting character so far. I like him so far. And I like Bajold's writing because not only is she good at, like I said, giving you exposition, but in a very seamless way and doing excellent character development and building a story. And Chalian, at least I noticed this quite a bit. But I noticed that I really like her humor. It's
Mm.
not like what I always say about her humor is it's not the kind of humor that makes me laugh out loud, but it's a humor that just makes me inwardly chuckle. Like I just find she's fun. She's just like got this. She just has a way of writing that just always makes me inwardly chuckle. So liking her writing quite a bit so far. Yeah.
Well, you've sold me. I've heard about Bujold from my fiance and other people in my Discord are big fans of her, but I've never heard like the actual like concept described the way that you did. So I'm sold. I'm gonna read her
Yeah,
sometime.
I said this in the chat. The more I know about Nat, the cooler he is. Man, I want to be friends.
I tell Nat he should have a booktube channel because I think he is so good at talking about books, and he's like, I feel like I come on YouTube and I'm just like fire hydranting words, and he is like very well spoken and intelligent, and I think he should have a booktube channel, not me.
I doubt that. You're very articulate. I'm always
I disagree with your criticism of yourself, but also sure, I would love to see your fiance on your channel more, or have his own channel.
I would love. I love seeing people's spouses or significant others in videos. My husband will never do it. He doesn't do much anyway. But I think that's beautiful that you two share that love of reading together. That'd be so cool to see him on video.
Okay, so this is actually a good transition because I actually got my wife, who's never been on one of my videos, Anna, to agree to potentially be on a future episode of a read through that Rid and I are doing this upcoming year. Do you mind if I break the news here?
Yeah,
Rid
go
and
for
Joanna?
it.
Can I give you a scoop on your why read? So Rhythm and I were talking about getting back to YouTube, and neither one of us had done a read through for a while, and we're like, what's the right thing to do? And those who don't know, Greta Gerwig, who made Barbie and Lady Bird and a couple other great movies, is making Narnia movies, which we thought was very interesting. And it's a series that doesn't get a lot of play in my booktube cultures, but I think it's very interesting. So Rid and I are going to be doing a Chronicles of Narnia read through starting in September. And we are going to do live readings and have reviews on it. The live discussion is going to happen on the last Saturday of September. And then I think we're going to do last Saturday of every month. We'll see. We're doing chronological. So it's not Lion the Witch and Wardrobe first. It's The Magician's Nephew. My wife will be appearing, maybe not on that one, but in some future episode. Maybe we can get you, is it used chicken, unused chicken, used chicken to show up on a future one. And I think our angle is going to be very interesting. So I said this on my channel. I grew up evangelical, very like kind of Christian right, U.S. Religious culture. And they revere Narnia because of its somewhat overtly Christian themes. Now that I'm outside of that, I'm really interested in returning and having maybe larger conversations about some of those themes while not being in a conservative culture. And I think it'll be really, really fun. Rid, what you want to add?
I'm just excited. I read Narnia when I was in like elementary school, and I don't have that like background that you have. And so for me, it was just like, wow, these are some fun fantasy books. So I think it'll be really interesting to have like those two different perspectives.
So you're not super excited to read The Magician's Nephew and discuss the Augustinian view of evil and how that has affected Western culture? Because I sure am.
I'm excited to learn about it from you.
Okay. It won't be that nerdy, but I do want to talk about that. But if you guys want to join, the Discord chat is gonna be on my Discord. I'll have like an announcement video coming out later this week, and we'll talk about it more. But would love anyone who wants to join and be interested. And we're actively looking for co-hosts. So if you're a big Narnia person and you got a booktube chat, find me on Discord.
Fantastic. Well, I'm excited for you guys. I think that's going to be fantastic. And also, I want to shout out that you two just recently did God Is Not Willing reread discussion.
Very fun.
I want to reread that book because I don't remember. I remember very little about it. So I think I'm going to be doing that soon and then go back and watch your discussion in its entirety. I watched part of it, but I haven't watched the whole thing. But,
Joanna, are you planning on reading the new one when it comes out? No Life Forsaken? I think it's coming out in October.
Does it come out October?
But it is, I will tell you, it is classic Erikson, where from the description, it sounds like it happens in 7 cities. So like, I don't think there's going to be any crossover with the first book. So I don't think you have to really get it done. Maybe I obviously haven't read it, so I don't know. But if that's a, pressure, I don't know if that'll be necessary.
I feel like you should get an arc, Andy. I'm surprised you didn't. Yes. Didn't you get an arc of The God Is Not Willing?
I did get I was up and running with The God Is Not Willing. I feel like I haven't. I don't know. I should try for an arc. You're right. I should try for. Do you have an arc?
No.
Oh.
What if I was like?
I was so like, no. But I would be happy for you, but jealous for me.
No, I don't have an arc.
I should reach out. I don't want to reach out to Steve. That would feel weird. I'm sure that's really annoying. But I do want to have one. So we'll see if someone at Tor will give me one. But I'm looking for a discussion to have with it when that happens as well. And you are more than invited if that's something you're interested in.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm also going to be releasing a summary of God is Not Willing. I have that recorded. I'm going to release it when we're closer, just for this situation. So if people like want to read the new one but don't want to reread God is Not Willing, they're able to.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Oh, I'm excited for it. That I'm all the more motivated to just jump on it when it comes out and not worry about rereading The God is Not Willing. Maybe I'll just watch your discussion. Ideally, I want to reread the book, but I'm sure it'll flood back to me if I just watch the discussion anyway. So.
It's also like not as complex as some of the other Malazan books. It's like much more straightforward. So I think you're right. It'll come flooding back.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud in that reread more than I have, I think, in any book.
It's a hilarious book.
It's really so funny, which I had totally forgotten about because there's also some like incredibly tragic and beautiful scenes. It's and again, I will say, actually, people in the chat who are like, I don't want to do Malazan because it's too big. And Min agrees. I think God is Not Willing is one you can pick up and just like it's different enough from Malazan if you had trouble with kind of the storytelling where you could just like jump in there. I think that's just kind of a hot take.
It does have some spoilers if you're really sensitive to spoilers, but I still think it's worth it. I think it doesn't matter. I think you should. And
it's much more linear. There's like 3 main plots. You're following them. They're pretty clear plots. What's happening. So if you've struggled with Malazan in the past, but kind of want to get in on this discussion, I would say God is Not Willing for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the character's name, the female character.
Stillwater.
Yes, I loved Stillwater.
We stand Stillwater on this BookTube channel.
The humor is so absurd, and like it's the way that Erikson will go from like philosophizing in like a really beautiful way about the meaning of life and the human condition, and then like in the next chapter or the next paragraph be making like fart jokes. That's why I love
and good fart jokes. It's hard to do a good fart joke.
In a book, it's definitely hard to do a good fart joke because you can't just make like fart sounds.
Speaking of Abercrombie tries to make poop jokes and fart jokes, and they never work for me. But Erikson, goat of fart jokes. I don't think he would love that.
Yeah. Everybody keeps talking about The Devils. I have not read The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, but I've just heard that the fart and poop jokes, there are poop jokes galore, and I guess they land for some people and not others. But yeah, I it's been a while, but I did enjoy my time with The God is Not Willing. I actually met Erikson while I was reading that book.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
In person?
In person, yeah.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Was it at a conference? I guess you don't have to tell where you met him in person.
It was at ICFA in Orlando, and I had breakfast with him and sat next to him, and that was a bit surreal for me.
Wow.
It was the same place that I met, and I met Alan and Jimmy and EP and Philip all at that time too. Pretty fun.
I feel like we should do like our class of BookTube reunion. We should pick like somewhere and like because there's like I feel like there's like 15 of us that are like it feels like we came around at the same time. Oh, including Alan. It would be so fun to do a little like act like we're a school reunion weekend. That would be super fun.
We'll just make Alan host. We'll just come crash at Alan's house.
I mean, he can't go anywhere, so we'll just all go to Alan's garage. We all know what it looks like, so. Alan, is that okay? I'm sure your life isn't chaotic at all right now, so I'm sure that'll fit in.
Yay, we're so happy to see you, Alan.
Yeah, well, and also congratulations.
And congratulations! Yay! No one visits me. We're all talking about that right now.
Famous last words. Now everyone will visit you.
And I don't live in that house anymore. That's true. He moved, but he still lives.
Oh. See, things you miss when you go out of BookTube for 3 years. Yeah. You miss that Alan moved, which is a bummer. Well, maybe good. Good for you. I don't know. Maybe it was a good move.
Yeah. Well, I want to be respectful of time because I know we're past the hour and a half mark, and I know we talked about the cutoff time being 90 minutes. But I didn't
even notice that. Yes. Sorry, everybody. I have a wedding. I don't just wear this on a Saturday. I am going to a wedding and I had to get ready before this. So thank you for checking the clock. Oh my word, this has been so fun and time has flown by.
It has flown by. It has been so much fun. And we should do it again sometime. I would love to hang out with you guys again sometime. So
absolutely.
Yeah, this was a blast. Thank you everybody who joined us in the chat today. I apologize about my audio being so unreliable in this one. I will do my best to try to fix it for the next stream. And thank you so much for hanging in there. And thank you to my wonderful guests, Andy and Rid. Fantastic channels. Their channels are linked in the description. Please subscribe. They have excellent content. I kid you not. I love their videos so much. And I'm just so happy that they are back on BookTube. Really, really happy they're here. And yes, thank you all again so much. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Thank you so much,
Bye.